Good afternoon. Welcome to Chivas Chit Chat. My name's Giovanna.
Rosamond.
And I'm Mirka.
And welcome to our weekly talk show where we talk about the previous week's news. We'll start off with Rosamond.
Okay, before we continue, everybody share the link because this conversation is going to be really good and you don't want your friends to get left out. I'm going to take time to share it. Let's see the link. Okay, so the first topic that we're actually going to talk about is the hashtag every week. The hashtag missing DC girls. I know you've all seen it everywhere. Basically, the DC mayor's office launched a campaign to help find some girls in DC who are missing, and the increased visibility because they've been blasting it on Twitter so much has people thinking that there's an increased amount of missing people in DC, but that's not the case. And to make matters worse, there's an Instagram post that claimed 14 girls had gone missing within a 24-hour period, but it was false. And so people are thinking this is like something that just is increasing, and it's not the case. And the DC officials have come out to say the number of missing young people is actually on the decline. The quote is, "The truth is the number of missing young people is declining in Washington, and our police department closed most cases quickly." And so the Congressional Black Caucus have called for a federal investigation asking Jeff Sessions, our Attorney General, and the FBI Director to devote resources necessary to determine whether these developments are an anomaly or whether they're indicative of an underlying trend that needs to be addressed. So my question is, although officially there's no increase in missing girls, do you think race plays a factor when it comes into how missing cases are treated? Because that's what the larger conversation is now.
Right. I remember reading an article. It was on NBC. It was about how the majority of those cases were actually runaway teens.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I feel at least the majority of those missing cases were because they ran away from their home. But what constitutes someone to run away from their home? That was my question. Maybe some of those in the process of figuring out who of those ran away, were those actually criminal cases? Were they actually getting stolen? Were they actually getting stolen for the purposes of trafficking? Or were they simply just running away from home because of bad circumstances or because they wanted to rebel? People run away for different reasons. But I remember I saw a statistic somewhere that told me that the majority of the cases that they presented on, I believe the day was March 24th, that all but 20 had gotten resolved. Do you remember seeing that?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
Yes, definitely. It says, I have my notes here, it's like 20-something cases were closed.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So then that's a different question, like how the media and social media are relaying information. Because how I first saw this news story was because I was scrolling through Twitter and a celebrity had retweeted a picture of it. I didn't look into it at the time because I was doing something else. But then I believe that same celebrity also ended up deleting it that same day or as a day after they found out it was misinformation.
Mm-hmm.
But then that's like a whole other subject, like misinforming the public, the celebrities playing a role in misinforming the public, especially when it's something to do of this caliber where it's like race driven,
Mm-hmm.
and how that kind of creates kind of like tension within social media and divides us.
Yeah.
So like very different things that all came under this like umbrella of like misinforming the public.
Yeah.
The words that we use.
And I think people who have such a large following on social media have to realize that they have a greater responsibility to be very careful with what they share.
Definitely.
Because one person can share something and they have millions of followers, as many of these celebrities have, and it just blows up and people take it as fact because they expect you to have done your research. So I think they need to be really careful because it can become a case where it's like the boy who cried wolf. If an important cause does come about and you're sharing about it, then people are going to have a hard time believing you when you're constantly sharing things that are not credible, not well researched. And I think, with something as sensitive as race, it's like, take a moment and let's think about what the greater picture is.
Which is kind of like the whole, goes hand in hand with the whole fake news thing. Like, there's been so much fake news recently that now it's like, well, why should we even believe these bigger establishments? What makes them real news?
Yeah.
So I think it's important to really think about what we're sharing before we share it and look into things ourselves rather than just just looking at a headline or just taking it as fact because someone with credibility shared it.
That's so difficult just to think about, like, every time, like, I read an article that I have to look into it. Like, why can't I just open up an article and be like, oh, great, this is the news, these are the facts.
Definitely.
I feel so informed. Why is it that I have to keep clicking around for sources and see if they're actually accurate sources? That's kind of, at least to me as a consumer of the reading of the news, just trying to get information, possibly in the morning where I'm, like, in a rush. Why do I have to go into it so deeply in order to get the correct information? That's kind of frustrating. But I guess it's just the reality we have to deal with as social media continues to get even more popular.
Yeah, but with the topic of how race plays into missing persons cases, this is actually something we talk about in a lot of our journalism classes. We always do this exercise, and the truth is, white female children are more covered in the press when they go missing than children of color, and boys are less likely to get covered as well. So I think that although this case was, obviously there was a lot of misinformation and it wasn't what it was made out to be, I think it gives us an opportunity to look at how this coverage does happen. Because I know something that one of the lawmakers who was part of the Black Caucus and requested help from the Attorney General's office was saying that one of the girls was 10 years old and she went missing and there was no Amber Alert. And I'm not sure exactly what constitutes, like what makes it so you need an Amber Alert and what doesn't require it. But it's just kind of difficult to think that a 10-year-old went missing and there was no Amber Alert for it. The longer they're out there, the statistics say, the more dangerous it is and more likely they are to be found not alive or not found at all. So it's just, I think there is a racial element to it, and although this story was not the most credible, we shouldn't ignore what the issue actually is and the opportunities to talk about this kind of thing.
And I think often when children of color go missing, it's always like, well, are you sure they didn't run away? There's always a sense of doubt.
Whereas, and that's what people are saying,
Where, like, often when it's white children, not that this happens all the time, but it's usually like, oh, they're missing right away. You know, there's never any doubt.
Yeah.
Maybe a lot of it also has to do with maybe the culture of, like, the families. At least personally, like, if my mom were to find me or not be able to find me in the morning, she wouldn't really assume that I ran away. She would probably assume that I was, like, out doing something or, like, out at the grocery store. She's always assumed, like, the best, or if she were to assume the worst, it usually isn't to go to the police first, it's usually to go to family members first. So maybe it's also the culture and the way our parents approach it. It's actually really interesting that you brought that up. I have this pulled up from the Department of Justice when it comes to, like, what constitutes an Amber Alert and what they need. So the child needs to be 17 years old or younger. There needs to be enough descriptive information about the victim of abduction. Notice how they said abduction. It's because they need to have, the agency needs to believe that the child is in imminent danger or in serious bodily injury or death. So that's, again, like a whole, maybe a culture thing again.
Yeah.
Maybe, at least my mom won't think I'm in danger. She'll probably think I'm with another family member, not necessarily missing or in danger. But maybe other families and other cultures are more, like, informed about the idea of people being abducted for the purposes of being killed.
But that's so subjective, like that requirement that the law enforcement agency needs to believe the child is in imminent danger. It's so subjective because how do you
agree on
that?
Yeah.
And if there's already this bias and this prejudice that we all have, I genuinely believe all of us, black, white, and in between, we all have some types of prejudices toward one another. If you already have this bias, you're automatically thinking a black kid is missing, or maybe he ran away, maybe he got involved with, like, drugs or gang banging. If that's your automatic reasoning, then that is already getting crossed off the list, and it makes it less likely that they're going to get the same Amber Alert and all the resources to help them, which is, it's unfair, but I think it's really a personal thing that we all need to work on. I know, like, this is going a little bit off of this, but during when all those shooting of black men were, like, all over the media, and that was a big story. Not that it's not happening today, but it's being covered less and less. People were talking about prejudice and how cops are prejudiced, and I really looked at it, and I believe we all have prejudice. And I was telling my friend, if I'm walking down the road at night and I see a black man walking towards me, I'm gonna be more afraid than if it's a white guy. And that sucks, but that's literally how we're groomed, that's how we're taught, and that's what we're taught to believe, to be afraid of black men more than like white men. So I think it's important that, for one, we recognize that and accept that this is where we are. Our minds have been messed up. We all have it. I have it. The white cop has it. The black pastor has it. Like, we all have that. And so I think once we recognize it, then it becomes easier to be like, okay, this is all of our problems. Not just the white people have this problem. We all have a prejudice problem. And then we begin to apply that to all these institutions. How does my prejudice affect my work in the police force? How does my prejudice affect my work in the classroom? How does it affect my work wherever I work? So I think it's just really important to recognize that we all have it. It's not a blame game. It's just something we need to work on individually and recognize as a society. It's just,
yeah. Going back to the missing girls thing and the Amber Alert thing, should there be better standards, more structure to that, to put out an Amber Alert? Because I know recently, especially with these missing girls, there's been a lot of tweets going around. I'm always on Twitter, so it's like, this girl's missing and it has information, and they get retweeted and shared thousands of times. And
that's
I know
Twitter.
Yeah, it's Twitter, and I know this past weekend there was a few girls that were found because of a tweet. So should there be kind of more sites that are used to find missing people, kind of like a substitute to Amber Alert, since not all of them qualify for Amber Alert? Would they get enough use, or would it just put more people in danger?
See, Twitter's different because Twitter started off on a business platform, so therefore they already have a large pool of people. I'm wondering if we were to create, or if someone were to create another platform, would people even follow it to begin with?
Yeah, specifically for that.
Yeah, specifically for that reason, because I feel like Twitter, there are people of all backgrounds, all ways of life, all ages on Twitter, all businesses. But would someone specifically follow a platform or an app or download an app for that reason? I know, personally, I would, because I care about that kind of stuff. But will they get the leverage? Well,
are you saying a separate thing for that, or are you saying having that on Twitter, police departments using Twitter and social media?
Yeah, that's the thing. I think a lot of them have recently been using Twitter, and it's helped. So should there be a separate app, or should there be more, a structure to using it on Twitter, where it's kind of like a feature,
Lauren is watching with us. Hi, Lauren. She says maybe police departments should post Amber Alerts to Facebook and Twitter, since people already participate in these social media. Yeah,
true. I think in addition to the phone, I guess the phone text messages. Because phones are everyone has the phone, so you don't have to be on Twitter.
You have the option of turning off your Amber Alert. So if they're posted on social media, they kind of have a more, of a wider audience.
And for me, I always share. If I see an Amber Alert or any missing person post on my Facebook, I will share it all the time.
I always read people once I see on my Twitter.
Yeah, but I only ever receive it from news sites, like local news networks. And usually it's of white little girls. And so, I don't know, I think it's a responsibility thing. And like I said, it's acknowledging that we do have those values.
And one of the things that I find is usually a problem with Twitter is sometimes people will be like, oh, my friend is missing, and then you go to them you go to the main tweet and you see that they replied to their own tweet, and it's false alarm, they were just over here, and it already has thousands of tweets, and people are still sharing it, but the person's already been found.
So people taking it as a joke?
It's not people taking it as a joke. It's it's a lighter situation, and it's being treated very heavily, but it's already been resolved, and people don't know that because they don't. A lot of people don't go see the replies and don't go look for that update. Whenever I see a missing person's tweet, I will click on it and go to the person's profile and see if there's an update, and if they say please keep sharing anything, then I'll retweet it. Because sometimes it is they've been found, thank you for retweeting, but people are still sharing it.
But that goes back to the idea that we have to keep digging for the truth, just like the news article.
It's so time consuming. But that actually, okay, something like that happened here like a few weeks ago.
Right.
Yeah.
We're not going to say names because I don't know, but we're not going to say names. But a kid went missing, a San Edward student. His mom was all over Facebook saying, my son is missing, and I'm in the middle of church. Don't ask why I'm on Facebook in the middle of church. But I was on Facebook and I saw the mom's post. I was like, oh my god, this kid is missing. And it's someone that I know of. He's like done very well for himself and a lot of people know him. And so I freaked out. I got out of church, went to the bathroom, started looking at missing persons requests, trying to, be an investigative journalist and trying to find him.
I remember
his mom.
in the group chat that we were even messaging.
And we were on it. And then I went back to my sermon. At the end of the sermon, I checked because I had messaged his mom, and it turns out he was just away at some retreat thing.
That was school-led.
Yeah, that was school-led, but they weren't allowed to take phones, and he just didn't contact his mom, and there's this whole thing. And I was like, thank God I didn't rush to post anything that said, oh, this kid is missing, let's find him, because that would be very embarrassing for one, and just it'll make it harder for people to take it seriously next time if someone is actually missing.
I remember I woke up pretty late that day and I opened the group chat that I had with my friends, and they were all talking about it like, oh my god, this guy is missing. And one of my friends was like, no, I have him for class, I just saw him yesterday, this is so sad. And the next one's like, he's on the camp thing for the retreat that the school did. And then we're like, oh my god,
moral of the story, if you're going away on anything, call your parents, please.
Lily said, so how do we increase accountability on social media? That's difficult.
I don't think there's there's any type of policy or even any type of technology that can really do that. I think accountability is such a personal thing, and you have to care enough about your image and your credibility, and really just care about the image that you're putting out there and wanting people to know that you are credible, to be accountable. But I don't think there's anything anyone else can do to make you do
It depends
that.
on each person's profile.
Yeah,
it depends on what you
definitely.
post, and if you have a huge mix of posts, what should they take serious and what should they not take serious, and stuff like that.
The great thing about the internet is we have the freedom to put out real or fake news, not news, tweets, Tumblrs, Facebooks. And I think that's just part of the freedom of speech, that people can do that. Whether you choose to believe it is up to you, and whether you choose to be a part of that reality is up to you. But what you've been doing is you've been doing research even on tweets, and start taking that kind of extra step to understand the truth around us.
I also think who you follow really determines what comes into your news cycle. If you're following, I don't want to call out any news org or otherwise, but if you're following organizations that are known to put out not so credible information, then that's the kind of stuff that you're gonna retweet. So I think it's important for me. Every couple months, I get on my social medias. I guess media is the point. Anyways, I get on my social media accounts and I see who I'm following, who I'm liking, what news sources, and I try to keep up with that and clean it up, because it really does impact too. Like we've been talking about in journalism classes, to follow news orgs that don't necessarily reinforce your beliefs. So I've been trying to do that, like I told y'all, and I follow certain news sites, and my God, I just follow it to keep perspective, to know what's happening, what other people are thinking. But it's the stories are just rubbish sometimes. I read one that Michelle Obama had. She had brunch with her friends, and they had pictures of it. And the story was that they were plotting a war on the Trump administration. And they had quotes from people, and it was just if you're not sensitive to the news that you consume, anyone would believe that. It's structured in a way that you would definitely think it's real, and it's just, I don't know. It's scary how much work we have to do when consuming our news now. Jenna is watching with us. No fake news. Agreed. Definitely agreed. Okay.
Physical thumbs up.
Okay,
United.
so yeah, we're moving on to our next topic, which actually just happened. Was it yesterday or Saturday? I
No,
think it was
yesterday.
yesterday. It was yesterday.
Mhm.
So these passengers were going on to their flight at United Airlines in Denver, and they weren't allowed on the plane because it was two teenage girls and one 10-year-old girl, both separately. They weren't allowed on the plane because they were wearing leggings. And the United Airlines is backing up their decision, and they spent a whole day on Twitter, replying to angry customers and all that, because the girls were flying with pass tickets, which is a benefit that they get when they have a relative who works with the company. So United is saying that these people were representing the country and representing the company, and that while there is no proper attire, like there's no dress code, they need to be dressed neatly, and leggings were not neat. But one of the main issues is that the father of the 10-year-old girl was wearing cargo shorts that didn't go below his knee. They were like 3 inches above his knee or something around there. They were pretty, kind of short cargo shorts. But the little girl, who was 10 years old, wearing leggings, had to change before she got on the plane. And the two teenagers, I believe, had to stay and catch another flight after they had changed. So the issue is, should they have made them change? It was a 10-year-old little girl, and while they knew that they were pass tickets, none of the other passengers know that it's pass tickets. They don't know that they're representing a company.
Yeah.
So it was a huge controversy, and United Airlines is sticking with what they did. And I know Delta earlier today tweeted, we like our passengers to fly in comfort, and then in parentheses they put, yes, that includes leggings. Being
Who
really
invited
shady.
them into this? The shade is too real. I don't know. I think it's so sad. I mean, like the two teenage girls, I still don't think it's okay to tell them to not wear leggings. But the 10-year-old,
yeah, I think it's almost sexualizing the 10-year-old to tell her to change. It's just leggings. It's no different from someone going on a flight in pajamas.
it's so sad.
Yoga pants.
I think
all
for
that.
me, the most frustrating part of this was watching their response to people on social media.
They just kept copying and pasting.
That was their PR tactic. Like, who was running their PR? Because the person just kept saying the same thing over. That's our policy on past customers. That's how past customers are supposed to just blah blah blah. The problem is not that you have this. The problem is not that you acted out of policy. It's that your policy is crap.
Yeah. And I think someone
That's the problem.
shared a screenshot of the policy that just said has to be dressed neatly. So there's not even a dress code. It was determined by the people there. And I know there was like people arguing with the person who told them that they couldn't on the flight, and they were like, well, I don't make the rules, I just enforce them. But is there a specific rule that says no leggings? Because on the screenshot it just said they needed to be dressed neatly. So
I've taken a flight with United, and I'm 1,000% sure I wore leggings.
yeah.
Well, you're not a past
That makes
customer
sense.
member. Yeah, you have to. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I think
It
whether
doesn't.
you're a past customer or not, if you're not on the job, it shouldn't matter.
And leggings and yoga pants, that kind of
It's
clothing,
custom
that's
airport clothing.
America's uniform. PSA United. That's America's uniform. Every girl lives in leggings and yoga pants. It's comfortable. That's what everyone travels in. I don't understand. Like, this 10-year-old is not on a business trip. No one is gonna look at her and think,
Oh my gosh, she's representing our
she
brand.
must be a representative of the United Airlines. No one cares. It's a 10-year-old. And it just speaks to just like double standard. Like, talking about the dad being in cargo shorts. Cargo shorts are not professional, United. And he didn't get any flack for it. So what's with the leggings? Is it because it's fitted? And if
I
it
think they
is,
said it can be anything that shows underwear or anything. So even if it was like an off-the-shoulder top or something that they said was raggedy or had holes, jeans with holes in them, anything like that would have not been allowed.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
that policy needs.
Yeah. So it just
Desperate
so
change.
happened that the family still had a carry-on on them where they had a dress, and they quickly changed the little girl into a dress.
So dresses.
yeah, the dress was
Okay.
fine, but she had to take off her leggings. So
That's
yeah.
awful.
Chrissy Teigen, sorry, I
Teigen.
pronounced Teigen. Sorry, I cannot pronounce names today. She tweeted about this incident. She said, I have flown United before with literally no pants on. Just the top as a dress. Next time I will wear only jeans and a scarf. I just thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
Chrissy's always trolling people online. Lauren says leggings are 100% American girl. LOL. I think they'd taken issue with the dad wearing leggings too. hope so.
I know.
They're gonna bug this 10-year-old. Like, who is she distracting? Dude, even with school dress codes, like you see the stories all the time on your social media, and it's like the picture of the girl and their mom's like, wow, my daughter got kicked out of school for this. And it's the most ridiculous things.
And it's
Like,
always so biased. I remember in school
so
there was
easy.
a bunch of girls I went to school with that sometimes would wear like little tank tops or little leggings, and they never got in trouble. And then someone else would wear it, and if they weren't like friendly with the principal or whoever
Really?
happened to see them, they'd be like, "Oh, you need to change, or you need to stay in the office until your parent brings." I know it happened to me once where I had to like call my mom to bring me a jacket because I was wearing a tank top.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Every single time, without a fail, I would walk into my high school. I was wearing a skirt or a dress. I didn't wear shorts because if I wore shorts, I was like 1,000% going to get sent home. I remember just always doing that dumb finger test.
Yeah, the
And
finger
I have
thing.
long arms, so of course I failed every single time, and I would have to be sent home, or I would have to like call a friend or call my mom to bring me some pants.
It's such a silly policy. Like, what's the point? You're taking girls out of school to make a point that they shouldn't distract other people from being in school.
And yet that's distracting them from their education.
I don't understand
so,
it.
I don't know.
It makes zero sense.
I totally against dress codes.
Yeah, the most recent one that I saw was a picture of a girl, and you know how no shade at UT, but UT, all the girls wear like the big UT shirts that go down here, and then they wear the shorts or the leggings and Nike shoes. That's like UT uniform. And there was a picture of a girl dressed like that, and she got sent home.
In high school?
Yes.
Wow.
Because she was wearing leggings. It didn't matter that her shirt
shirt
was
was, like,
basically
covered
a
in.
dress, basically a gown. She was sent home for it. I was like, wow, this girl just missed a whole day of school.
Yeah.
Because you're deciding to be petty. It's not about her being distracting. It's just,
It's
she's
very
wearing
unfair.
leggings, she needs to go.
Yeah, it's really unfair because now they're being deprived of their education just because of something so stupid.
And it's like, boys are not, they're not dogs. They don't need you to make sure they're focused. Like, who does that? Who's distracted by someone else? Yeah, that can happen, right?
Yeah.
You can be distracted by the way someone is dressed, but if you're policing girls for something, what's the equivalent to boys? Do we not get distracted? I get distracted. I get distracted by the tank tops, if that's the case. Not I don't. But if we're gonna be like that picky about
I
it,
mean, I get distracted by Hawaiian shirts. They're very colorful. I have a professor who only wears
I
Hawaiian
get
shirts.
distracted by a suit and a tie. There you go.
Oh my God.
It's
no
like,
more formal attire.
No.
No formal Fridays. They're too distracting.
Exactly.
Fridays.
We did
Isn't
in high
it
school.
casual?
In high school?
No, we did formal Fridays.
Oh my
Casual
God.
days every day.
Oh my God, that's awesome. It just doesn't make sense. Get rid of those policies. What if we had dress code policies in college? I would be awful.
There goes like our
shoulders.
aesthetic. There goes our St. Edward's aesthetic. You know, St. Edward's is actually known for being a pretty stylish
Yes.
I know.
community.
I know
Yeah.
a lot of, I actually discussed this in my American Dilemmas class with a group once, where one of my classmates, all her roommates went to UT, and every morning they would ask her, "Why are you so dressed up today?" But she said she felt the need to dress up coming here to St. Edward's.
Mm-hmm.
But
Same.
I mean, sometimes I've never felt the need to dress up. I like to dress up, but then there's some days like today where I'm just wearing like a t-shirt. You know, like it just depends on the day.
Yeah, I was visiting my friend at UT the other day, and I just come from class and I went over there, and her friends and other people, they were like, "Wow, where are you going? Do you have an interview?" No, I just like waking up and going to school, and that's what we do.
Yeah, I have a friend who transferred here from
It's
UT,
so cool.
and she says how like over at UT she never wore makeup, and here she feels the need to wear makeup every day.
I mean, I give makeup for Lynn. Girl, it is a wonderful experience.
Really?
I haven't worn makeup in a long time.
You look beautiful.
I know.
Break down a little bit.
All right, we're going to transition into the next super girly. No, I'm just kidding. It's not girly. This is for everyone. We're going to talk about virginity. Yes, virginity. A few weeks ago, who was my...
It was
Lauren
Sanchez.
Lauren Sanchez. I hope
Yeah.
she's watching. She always watches. Lauren Sanchez and I wrote a face-off. And what that is two people take two opposing sides on a topic and we beef it out on paper. Bam. No, but we did that for viewpoints, and it was about virginity. How important it is. How important is it, or is it not? And Lauren took the side of virginity should not be that important. It's just another way to kind of tie women down to standards and to it's an oppressive ideology. And I took the opposing side because that's just, I'm just conservative that way. So for all our viewers who have been requesting a conservative voice, you got it. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I mean, my view on it, I don't know, you guys can obviously disagree, but my view on it is that it is very important. I think there's a huge effect, there's a huge physical, emotional, and psychological change that happens with sex. And I think it's a little too optimistic to think, oh, virginity then is not that important. Like, stuff happens. It's not just a physical act. So I don't know. That's more where I was coming from.
I think it is important, but I do believe that it is often used to shame women as well. And it is almost like a concept that, you know, if you decide that you don't really believe in your virginity and you think, you know, it doesn't matter that when you want to have sex, you can have sex, then that's perfectly fine. I think it is now has recently been used a lot as a tool against women to shame them for, you know, losing their virginity, and mostly young women, because now sex has become such a public topic. But it isn't. I personally think it is important, but it is being used to shame women.
Yeah, and I see it all the time too. I think personally, whether you want to have sex a lot or you don't want to have sex a lot, you want to abstain till marriage, if that's what you want to do, either or option, I feel like a woman should be proud of that and should feel empowered by their community, whatever their choice may be. Because at the end of the day, it is still their body. It is still what they decide to do with their body, and they shouldn't feel ashamed of either or, you know?
Yeah. My thing is, I have a problem with this culture. I'm not from, like, I wasn't raised here. I was raised in, like, Western Africa, and it's a very conservative culture, you know? But I have a problem with American culture in the sense that it celebrates, like, high schoolers, like, young people losing their virginity, especially more recently. It's like people are labeling that feminism and empowering. I don't think it's empowering to clap for a 16-year-old because they're having sex, or a 17-year-old even. It's like, at that point, there's so much, like, thinking about when I was 16, I was a hot mess. Like, I didn't even know who I was. I still am, you're right. I didn't know who I was to try to think about relating to someone in like that intimate of a level. So I think we need to be careful in saying, oh yes, it's good, it's your choice, it's whatever, because choices do have consequences at the end of the day. And I think there's a balance, and now the freedom of choice is being preached more than, okay, there's choice, but also there's consequences. And I think I don't necessarily think it's liberating.
Yeah, and I think we should talk about how it is people's choices, but we should also talk about the consequences that come with that. Because often it's just like, you just see the part where it's glamorized that it is a choice, but you never see the fallout and the negative effects of it. And that's why young girls or teenagers think it's so easy, and then they are affected harshly, emotionally, sometimes physically, because they don't know those consequences. Yeah. Because often social media only glamorizes the good side of things.
Do you think a large part of, like, why we talk more about sex culture in this kind of way, more of like a choice type of idea, is at fault of, like, our public education system, or education in general, educating women and men to, like, or not at all educating them? Because I don't think, personally, I do not remember having a conversation of sex of any kind until 8th grade, and I believe it was, like, very brief. They were like, okay, here's the vagina, this is what the penis looks like, all right, next chapter, cells.
Yeah,
like, okay.
Sex education. I mean, here's the thing, sex ed is handled differently by each state, and in Texas, they preach, you know, abstaining. So, and I think that's for most states as well. So there's not a proper...
What's wrong with that? I'm sorry, okay. Damn, the comments. Okay, I'm not... Okay. I don't see that there's a problem wrong with preaching that, right? Like, that's the ideal. I'm sure every mom is, like, hoping that their kid is gonna abstain till marriage. Like, that's the ideal. And I don't think there's a problem with preaching the ideal, but saying, but I know you're a lot of you are not going to meet it. That's not what statistics say. That's not what we see. A lot of you are not going to meet it. So here's what to do if you decide that that ideal is not for you. But it is an ideal, and I think, I don't know, I think I don't know how to phrase it without sounding like, I don't know. I just think there's no problem with letting kids know, like, that's an option too.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Often we're just taught, well, you should abstain, and that's it. And they don't go any further than that. They should say, you should abstain, but here is the fact that a lot of people don't abstain, and here are the consequences, and here's the proper way to go about it. And we don't get that. We just get, you need to abstain. You need to. And if not, you have the choice.
And then we figure out the consequences ourselves from our friends or from personal experience.
For me, this, like, American or Texas, because I went to high school in Texas sex ed is a big improvement. For me, it's good, right? Because where I grew up, like where I went to school in Sierra Leone, you don't talk about sex. Like, there's no one that's saying, oh, we need to have sex ed. And sex ed, it does not exist, and no one has a problem with it. I mean, it's also like a culture where we're all the same. Like, we're all the same race. We're all like have one of two religions. Everyone's like has the same mentality. But no one has a problem with not having sex ed. I didn't even know what a period was until I had mine. Like, it's just not something to talk about. And I'm not necessarily saying that's good, but I think it makes me appreciate like Texas sex ed, even though I see that like other people don't think it's the best.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just coming from like nothing to at least they're talking about sex. You know what I mean?
Huh?
Do you want to say something?
Rashad is switching in the corner. Come in here. Rashad is our handy cameraman.
Yes. Your name is already.
You look like you want to say something, so you should say it.
I do.
Rashad,
hey, I'm the guy that's been filming this for the last 7 weeks. 6 episodes now?
Episode 6.
Okay, so basically, as someone who came in the terrible sex ed that Texas has given, it goes back to what you were saying. It's not the problem of like, how do I say this? It's just saying like abstinence only, and that's it. And if you don't, then you're gonna have this problem, you're gonna have that problem, you're gonna be in the worst condition, you're gonna be on welfare, and blah blah blah. And what they need, the way they need to teach is the way you're saying it, as in like, look, if you want to stay abstinent, that's okay. If you do have sex, that's okay. You shouldn't be at a young age, but if you do, here's how to at least protect yourself. Here's how to blah blah blah, how to go along with it. Because it's better to give the kids the tools than to not give them at all. Because once you hide it from them, they'll want to go and explore it themselves. Compared to where research shows, I don't have any stats, but research shows if you actually teach kids, they'll be less likely to because they know what they're doing. So what would be better is to teach instead of hiding. Since it's already so out in the open anyway in America, since it's already something that we make so much money off of, might as well teach them and educate them, that way they can understand. And I'm going to go back to my
Thank you. Lauren commented, 8th grade, this is sex, here's a video of a woman giving birth. High school, don't have sex or you will catch an STD and die. College, condoms and Z-packs for everyone. Rosemond, in Texas, abstinence is commonly taught as the best choice. I think it's important that we talk about sex more openly, but instead of glorifying it, we should celebrate the good and honestly and open discuss the possible consequences, babies, STDs, attachment, etc. And she agrees with Prashad, she says. But it's very true because they just teach abstinence and then they just tell us the consequences. But they don't tell us there is some good stuff of it. And if you decide to not stick with abstinence, here are some good stuff and here is the proper way to do it. And the fact that they don't teach us the proper way to have a healthy sex life is what often leads to, STDs and really bad abusive relationships and stuff like that.
I just think with like this wave of feminism, I don't even know if it's just specifically to this wave, but it's like the message of, yeah, you're free to do that to your body, do what you want with it. It's that message is louder than the message of be careful, take care of yourself. These are the steps. That's my problem with it. I think it's irresponsible to tell young girls, yes, you have that freedom, which they do, absolutely. It's your choice. I'm not participating, but it's your choice, But it's like, I think if that message is being put out, then it's only responsible to also say, but this is what you need to do. This is how you protect yourself. This is how you deal with this emotional attachment that happens to her, which I think a lot of time that's what's really not being talked about, because it's very emotionally draining. And as far as like abstinence, I think about it in this way. Where does the idea of abstinence being the ideal come from? It comes from this nation being founded with Christian principles, and that's what the Bible teaches is abstinence. And so that's where it comes from. And so I find it, even as a Christian, I find it appalling to tell someone who doesn't believe in my God or subscribe to my religious views that you have to be abstinent and that's the best way. You know what I mean? So I think for that reason, definitely abstinence is not what we should be teaching in schools, but I think within the home, if that's your zhuzh, if that's what the parents think is the best way, then that's the route they should go.
Yeah, and I think it all comes back to social media too, because social media often glorifies sex because, well, American culture glorifies sex, but there's no proper education of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it should be taught better, and there should be better laws and regulations for sex education.
And they glamorize the consequences too.
Yeah. Teen mom.
Yep.
Dude, even hookup culture in college is so disturbing to me, honestly. It's like, I'm really not trying to be judgmental. I'm just being very real and like saying how I've seen it and how I viewed it. It's just really disturbing to me. And a lot of girls, and I do think, oh god, this show is getting weird. I do think girls are more emotional creatures than guys are. And I think a lot of girls, this whole message of empowerment, and I'm definitely a feminist, but I think they're misrepresenting it to think, oh yeah, I can like hook up with as many guys as I want and like it has no type of emotional effect. And I think that's a lie. I think every sexual encounter, for guys maybe, but especially for girls, I think it has an emotional impact. And that's why like a lot of girls are, I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of emotional instability on college campuses, and that's a result of a lot of different things. But I think this like hookup culture and thinking we're invincible to our emotions is just dangerous.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We're gonna head out. Thanks for the comments, and catch us next week. Oh, by the way, awkward, we didn't even say anything about Gabrielle. Gabrielle's not here with us because she's really sick and she's at home, and we miss her, and she'll be here next week, we hope.
If you're watching, Gabrielle, I hope you feel better.
Please take some soup. If anyone sees Gabrielle on campus, please give her a bowl of soup. I expect to see Gabrielle with 50 bowls of soup.
Yes.
Every single time.
All right, guys.
And if you guys have any conversations you'd like us to talk about, please feel free to share it with us.
Oh, also next week, Alex Barron is going to be here with us to talk about the freshman studies book selection for next year. So stay tuned for that. See you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.